In the last few years, culture fit interviews have become a real trend with a lot of businesses using them, and they are bad for business. And in this video, I'm going to explore why. But there's a lot of people with experiences of them. There's a lot of people that have used them, and I think this needs a wider discussion. So if you've got experience of culture fit interviews, whether as an individual that's sat in one or whether you're doing culture fit interviews, I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below. Research has shown that diverse teams are 35% more productive. We see more supportive teams, we see more innovation, and businesses with diverse teams are financially better off. It is all good for business to have diversity within your team, and culture fit is exactly the opposite of having diverse teams. And to understand exactly why they're bad, we need to understand what culture fit interviews are. And they are kind of what they say on the tin. It's about, do you fit in with the vibe, the values of this organisation? Are you going to fit in with the team if we go out to the pub after work? Or if we've got values around collaboration, are your values matching that in terms of collaboration? And there are certain times where values are really important, and it is important that we bring people on who understand and share our values. It can be good for business in that respect. So let's say we've got a vegan company where they are producing vegan products to a vegan audience. People who at a minimum have empathy with vegan lifestyles are going to be really important to that business. That business where being vegan is core, it's a really core value to its business, is not looking for innovation in the meat eating world. It's not looking for people who are not vegan to come in and go, well, have you considered that if we add meat to this product? That is not what that business is doing. That value is really core and it's really central. And in those types of businesses, yes, I absolutely would expect to see a question that is about the value of the organisation, a question that is understanding, is this person a vegan, or do they have empathy and understanding of vegan lifestyles and therefore are going to be good fit for our business? That's quite different to a group of founders or people that sort of early on in a startup that have sat around a table and gone, what values would work for our business? Oh, collaboration sounds good, doesn't it? Honesty sounds good. Innovation, that sounds good. And these values can move and change, and we've all seen how fast the world is growing and changing in recent years. So these values are things that could change. They are not completely core and central to the business, to the marketing, to kind of what the business stands for. And when we only recruit for those values, we can stifle innovation, we can stifle creativity, we can create bias, we get people into the business who look like us, who talk like us, who sound like us. And it's those things that reduce productivity, reduce innovation, and reduce those financial benefits of gaining people into the business. If you're looking for somebody who is going to join the team for drinks after work, for example, we know that statistically, less women will be able to comply with that than men. And we know that businesses that have teams who are 30% female outperform businesses that don't. And there's similar statistics when it comes to ethnicity as well. So all of these things are really good for business. And if we're not careful and we're looking at our values as something that's core, actually what we do is create an echo chamber that stifles creativity, potentially stifles the business going forward. That's why I talk about culture interviews being bad for business, because they are so focused on fitting in. And when we fit in, we reduce diversity just by its very nature. Fitting in, it's the opposite of diversity. Now, there is research that says that when people fit in, then there's increased retention, there's increased loyalty within the business. And these may be some of the reasons people are doing culture fit interviews. And I can see that. I can see where retention, loyalty would come in. One of the challenges with that is often retention and loyalty are the opposite of innovation and creativity. So what we've seen in work environments that keep people in post for very long periods of time and are not bringing new ideas, new people into the business, that innovation and things slows down. And that's again what harms the business. Now, there are some businesses where there are very kind of fixed mindsets or fixed reasons for having things a particular way. So at the moment, we're seeing a lot of return to the office mandates. Now, that's a whole nother video, return to the office mandates. But if you've got a fixed mindset, which is that people need to work in an office, then absolutely you need to market that in your recruitment. You need to be clear about it in your interviews, and you need to ask if that's okay with people, if that is the type of role they're looking for, and accept that for some people, they're going to just walk away from that and say, no, actually, that's not what I'm looking for. And of course, if you've got a business which requires people to be on site, which many jobs do, then of course that's something we talk about. And generally people know if they're applying for a job that's got to be done in a fixed location, people generally know that and will only go for the role if that is really what they're looking for. So there are sort of backwards and forwards, sort of swings and roundabouts around whether or not culture fit works. And there are times where culture fit questions, and I'd say it should be a question within an interview rather than a whole interview itself, because it's just not enough questions around it when you've got one thing that really is the thing you're exploring. This core point of is, to use my examples I've used before, is veganism something you have an understanding of, or these roles are based in the office, is that something that you're okay with? And ideally you want to ask those questions before you even get to interview, because interview is the point at which there's a lot of time, energy from both sides going in. So ideally, these are sorts of questions that if we can find this out before we even get to the interview, or be really clear that this is what we're looking for, that's going to help us with our recruitment processes more generally anyway. So I did some research on culture fit interview questions. And one of the really interesting things I found, and it's not really surprising because we see it with other interviews as well, there's a lot of training online on how to answer common culture fit questions. And interestingly, most of them mean that you don't actually get the answer. You get an answer that's pre-programmed. So one that I saw, for example, and it's one that's used all the time. Do you prefer working alone or within a team? And the sample answer here given is, I enjoy both working independently and collaboratively with a team. I'm a strong individual contributor, but I also enjoy interacting with a good team. That answer tells you absolutely nothing. It's like, I'm hedging my bets. I'm going to tell you a bit of everything. It doesn't dive in. What do you mean? When would you prefer working within a team? When would you prefer working on your own? Somebody is literally hedging their bets to go, right, are they looking for a team player or are they looking for somebody who works on their own? I know what, I'm going to say I can do a little bit of both. If we're real with people about what the job involves, then they can talk about that. They can talk about how they contribute within a team and how they also work alone, because yes, many of us can work within a team and we can work alone. It's around how we do that. It's around where we see teamwork and talking about our values and things like that within teamwork. But that question, it's pretty much useless to anyone. It's kind of just wasted everyone's time. And there's another one here that says, describe the type of work environment in which you are most inspired to be productive. And in this one, it's again very vague. The answer that's being promoted here is I find collaborative environments that encourage open communication and knowledge sharing stimulating. But I also like an environment that provides time and space to shut out the noise and focus on work. Immediately, the fact that these training answers are even out there means that you will get people with these kind of stock answers and that are trying to just give the answer that pleases the interviewer. If you are genuinely asking the question as an interviewer or as a recruiter because you have a culture, which means that you will help people, support people, enable people to work in the way that they thrive, great. And ask these questions about people so that you know how to manage and support them and get the best out of them. Now, actually, I would say if that's genuinely your culture, why not ask these questions after you've done the interview? Because then you are in a better place to say, right, we're going to focus this knowledge and understanding on the person that we are actually going to recruit into this role, as opposed to spending a load of time in the interview talking to different people about their preferences, when actually we're never going to serve these preferences. If the reality is you're asking preferences because you want to rule out the people that have preferences that you don't agree with or don't align with your values, there are other ways to do that, like promoting, this is the only way we work here. And if you don't work like that, then we're not going to be hiring you, because that will save everybody a whole lot of time. Now, I suspect the reason that a lot of people don't promote it like that is because they don't want to be seen to have that kind of fixed mindset. But if that's the reality of what you're offering, then just be honest about it. The research says you're going to do better as a company when you've got a diverse team, and therefore encouraging that diversity, having that environment that enables people to say, actually, I work best in this scenario. This task, I will do this task best in this scenario. That is going to enable individuals to thrive, and when individuals thrive within your business, so does the business. And that's where culture fit interviews, I think, are problematic. They really do encourage bias. They encourage an echo chamber. They encourage people to recruit people who look like them. And when we are really open to diversity, it is much better for business. Now, these are the interviews, though, that are clear that they are culture fit interviews. And there is a trend, certainly within industries like software, where they actually promote, you are being invited now to the culture fit interview. They're very clear about that. There are others that are putting these questions into the interviews. So you get into the interview and then you find that you've got these culture fit questions. And that's when you end up with this scenario of like, well, I don't actually know what answer you're looking for, so I'm going to hedge my bets and give you a bit of a kind of vague answer that hopefully will get me the tick on the sheet that I need to get through to the next stage. And it's in those situations where these questions also are often asked by interviewers that haven't been given any training in unconscious bias. And we know that likability and social skills are the biggest indicator of whether or not somebody gets through an interview, much greater than the actual answers they give or the actual skills that they have for the job role. And only by training people to really understand bias, to understand where their biases are coming in and to check their biases, are you going to be able to get over that hurdle as well and use your recruitment processes to really recruit a diverse team, which is fundamentally good for business. As I said at the beginning, I'd really welcome your thoughts on this. If you've liked this video today, check out this video on the interview questions you really should avoid. It will help you to make your interview process better and you attract better people into your business so you get that diverse team that we know is good for business.